Hello everyone, welcome to week 1, day 3 of new learning. I hope your families are doing well and staying safe. You will probably want to have a paper and pencil handy or something to write with and something to write on because you might want to take some notes as we go through this video. For those of you that have already been doing work on Schoology, know that I will be going over the warm-up and then provide examples to help you through today's assignments. For those of you who this is your first time on Schoology, it may look like a lot of activities, but there will be several activities each week that there may only be 1 or 2 questions. Let's get started. Our learning targets. I can write an inequality to represent a situation, and I can graph inequalities on a number line. In your warm-up, it said to circle all of the possible solutions. Now, solutions are answers to these statements. So, for the first one, it says Jessica spent more than $5 at the arcade. So, if she spent more than 5, that means she could not spend 5. She had to spend over $5. So, she could have spent 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. For number 2, it says less than 6 people rang the bell on the mallet game. So if it's less than 6, it means it's going to be fewer than 6 people. It was not 6 and it was not more than 6. So that's why I've circled 1 through 5 here. For number 3, there are less than 8 lemonade stands. Again, that word less than, so we know we're going to have fewer than 8. So it's going to be a smaller number than 8. So that's why 1 through 7 are circled. And then there are more than 12 different flavors of taffy. So that word more tells us that it's going to be larger. It's not going to include 12, but it's going to be any number bigger than 12. So 13, 14, 15. Then you had a discussion board post where you had to describe what patterns you saw. So looking at this, when it says more, like in number 1 and number 4, that means it's going to be going to the right. It's going to be getting larger. When it says less than, in 2 and 3, we went to the left, so everything was getting smaller. So if we were to look at this thinking like a number line, the more, it was everything to the right of that number, and the less, it was everything to the left of that number. This is where you might want to take a few notes. We're talking about the inequality keywords. That way you don't have to keep going back to this video to help you figure this out. So if we look at this, first off, to kind of remind you of back in elementary school when you were talking about inequalities, you talked about the alligator or some sort of creature that was eating whatever was larger. So if you look at this inequality here, this sign means that x is less than 5 because the alligator or whatever creature is going to be eating the larger number. For this one down here, we have x is greater than 10, so that creature is going to be eating whatever is larger, so it's going to be eating the x because it's greater than, it's larger than. So looking at this symbol here, we have less than, so some keywords in problems that may remind you that it's going to be that symbol. So when it's written out in words, we have less than, less, under, below, smaller than, fewer than. Now these are just a few keywords. There may be more, but based on the activities that we have, these keywords would be the ones that you want to focus on. For the greater than symbol, obviously it's greater than, then greater, above, larger than, more than, exceeds, and over. Now, we have these 2 symbols here, which some of you guys may not be real familiar with. So this is less than or equal to, and this is greater than or equal to. So if we look at the symbol here, it says x is less than or equal to 7, which means that all the possible solutions would either be, it's going to be less than 7 or it can equal 7. So basically anything, when we think back to our numbers before, if we said less in our previous activity, if we said x is less than or equal to 7, that means we're going to look on our number line for every number that is 7 or below to the left. And then the greater than or equal to is any number that is greater, so x is greater than or equal to 2, so x is greater than 2, or x can be 2. So that means, thinking about our number line again, it includes 2, so if we were circling those numbers before, we would have circled the number 2, and then every number bigger to the right. So some of the keywords that you have to focus on here is less than or equal to for less than or equal to, obviously. And then no more than, at most, maximum, up to, is not greater than, or is not larger than. For the greater than or equal to sign, you're going to have greater than or equal to, no less than, at least, minimum, is not less than, and not smaller than. Now, here's an example for writing inequalities. The first thing you want to do is you want to find your keyword. So in this statement, you must be over 12 years old to ride the go-kart. So over is our keyword. And if you think back to our inequality chart, or our keyword chart that we just looked at, over meant greater than. And we're going to use this number 12 because we're talking about it's over 12, so it's greater than 12. Now, because we're talking about age, I will use a as my variable. So when I write my inequality, I'm going to start with my variable a is greater than 12. So in all of your examples today, you're going to have your variable on the left side. So you're going to have that first, then your inequality symbol, and then your number. Another example, you must be at least 16 years old to have a driver's license. So that phrase at least means you can be 16 or larger. You cannot be less than 16. So the symbol we're going to use is our greater than or equal to symbol. And because it's at least 16, it's going to be greater than or equal to 16. Again, we're talking about age, so I'm going to use a as my variable. So I put that first, then my inequality symbol, which is greater than or less than, and then the number 16. When we talk about graphing these, so we have n is greater than 9. So I'm going to locate that 9 on my number line, and I'm going to put a circle around it. And then because it's greater than, I'm going to look at the numbers on either side of my inequality, or of my number line. Does it make sense that 8 is greater than 9? No, because 8 is less than 9. Does it make sense that 10 is greater than 9? Yes. So you're going to draw your arrow in that direction. One little hint for you on which way to draw your arrow: if your variable is on the left side, so if it's before the inequality sign will point in the direction that you need to draw your arrow. If you look at our inequality sign here, it looks like our arrow here. Now, for our second example, we have n is less than or equal to 10. So I'm going to locate 10, and this time I filled in that 10. I didn't make a circle. What that means is, if you see this bar underneath your inequality sign, oops, sorry guys. If you see this bar under the inequality sign, it means that it can include, so that or equal to. Remember I said that this means n is less than 10 or n is 10. So because we're including 10 in that solution set, or the possible answers, we're going to circle that, fill this in. When you don't have that bar underneath, you're going to leave a circle. And again, we can look at either side of this. So is 11 less than 10? Nope. It's not, and it's not 10. So it's not going to go that way. Is 9 less than 10? Or is it 10? 9 is less than 10, so it's going to go in that direction. Again, when your variable is on the left before the inequality sign will tell you which way to draw your arrow. Now, you're going to have some word problems as well. And this is one example of the word problem. So you're going to have to write the inequality, and you're going to have to graph the inequality. So on here it says traffic on a residential street can travel at speeds of no more than 25 miles per hour. Write and graph an inequality to describe the possible speeds on the street. So looking at this, it says no more. That's the first thing we need to do. So before we graph, we want to write our inequality. So we want to find our keyword. So we're going to combine these strategies that we learned in the previous examples. So we find our keyword, and our key phrase is no more. If you look at your notes that hopefully you took on the key terms, you'll see no more means less than or equal to. If you did not look at these notes, take notes on these key terms, you're going to have to keep going back to this video to help you. So, and it's no more than 25 miles per hour. So it's less than or equal to 25. So no more means you cannot go more than 25. Now, since we're talking about speed, I'm going to use S as my variable. You guys are going to determine your variable. I would try to keep it to what we're talking about in the problem, but if you want to use another variable, that's fine too. Another letter. If you want to just use X all day long, or N all day long, or your initial all day long, I don't care. But you need to choose your variable, and you need to put it before the inequality sign in all of our lessons today. So we have S. We used our symbol less than or equal to. That phrase no more than tells us it's that symbol, and then our 25. So because we have this bar and it's less than or equal to, we're going to color in the dot. And then we can use our strategy of looking at either side of that 25. So 24, is 24 less than 25? Yes. Is 26 less than 25? No. So we're going to draw our arrow in the direction of that 24. Again, our inequality sign, when the letter is on the left, comes before the inequality sign, will tell us which way to draw our arrow. Your next activities are going to be writing inequalities Google Doc. So you need to make a copy. If you're having issues submitting that, please join my Zoom hours, and I can walk you through on how to submit that. You have a Desmos inequality card sort, a discussion on the card sort, a basketball hoop height minimum and maximum. You're going to be matching some inequality graphs, writing and graphing inequalities Google Doc, and an exit ticket. And my honors students, I expect you to do this honors activity. For those of you who are not in honors but want to try, you're more than welcome to try it. Especially for those of you who may be interested in being in honors next year. Office hours. On here are office hours for me, Mrs. Tyler, Mrs. Langen, and Mr. Lenhart. Our links are in Zoom through Zoom, in Schoology under the 6th grade staff office hours folder. You can use this time to ask for help on the assignments or how to navigate through Schoology to access or submit assignments. You can also use this time if you just want to talk. You can also email us through Schoology to Mrs. Tyler, myself, Mrs. Langen, or Mr. Lenhart. I hope you guys do well, and if you have any questions, come join one of our Zoom office hours or shoot us an email. Talk to you guys later. Bye.